Basically, we got the battery out. These two cables just slide out of the back of the battery box. Got a lot of access up here now. I'm going to run the Doebeck cable right up here along and tie this up tight with all the rest of this stuff. Here's the battery box. Ooh, having trouble getting focused here. As you can tell on the back, there's a spacer that mounts up against the frame right here. It leaves this much clearance in the back for that cable to get past that backbone of that frame. Okay, I've got the Doebeck sitting in the under the seat compartment with the ground wire. And it's going underneath here, up along here, and I'll tie it off whenever I hook the connectors up. Alright, the first thing we got to do to get access into the injector, which is down here, it makes it easier if you remove the map sensor and just get it out of the way. And with that cable out of the way, you can get your fingers in there. Right there it is. To pull it up like that. Okay, now on mine it's so tight to move stuff around. I'm going to clip this little clip that ties the front injector to this frame so I can have more room to get this stuff tied up away from the hot items. Okay, I've clipped that little clip on the backbone that holds that front injector wire down tight. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and release the front injector. It's the easiest one of the two to get to. But now I can maneuver this whole harness around to tie stuff up away from heat, where before it was snug down tight with that little tie. Now I'm not too worried about cutting that little tie because I tie all my stuff up with my own ties anyhow. But however you want to do it, this is the way I'm doing it. Now, to clarify something I said at the beginning earlier, these smaller connectors are the ones that go into the factory plug, and the larger one, now these here go down on the actual injector, and these smaller ones go into the injector plug. They won't fit no other way. This big one won't fit into the big plug. Okay, I'm going to show you how this front one hooks on because it's easier to see and get to. Here's that connector I was just talking about, the larger one that goes actually down on the injector. It'll only go on one way, so if it ain't going on one way, flip it around. You have to excuse me, I'm trying to hold the camera and the... But anyhow, this goes right down on this injector and just slides down and clicks. That's pretty much it. Doebeck also has a little locking tab on here that's kind of like an extra lock from the OEM one. After you get it on all the way, this little red locking tab pushes down and further locks that tab. Now back again on the rear, I'll push that main plug on the rear down in underneath the harness there in between the cylinders. I'll come around on this side so you can see actually where I'm hooking it up. It's coming in right there. It's going to go right down on that injector the same way as I did the front one. Okay, now there's both of them hooked up on the injectors, front and back. One flips around with the tab facing right and one flips around with the tab facing left. Had to put the camera down to hook it up. Anyhow, we're going to come back around here and hook up the remaining little bypasses to the OEM connections. Okay, basically all you got to do is make sure you hook up the right bypass to the right injector. You don't want to get them mixed front and rear. I'm sure something would go foobar if you did that. As you can see, that injector goes there. Or, I'm sorry, bypass. That bypass goes to that OEM plug, and the front bypass goes to this OEM plug. And don't forget to put your map sensor back in down here. Some of you with smaller fingers may be able to do all this without disconnecting the map sensor, but I couldn't get to it with it in the way. And then it's just a matter of tying this up neat where you don't get no heat contact, and where it just suits you. Okay, I use these 14-inch or 11-inch ties. If you can luck out and find a tie long enough to go all the way around the frame backbone and everything, you're in good shape. I never have found one, so I have to put two together and wrap it around the backbone. But these things are invaluable. You need these things if you're doing wiring. Okay, we've got them all tied up snug. This part's running down underneath. I've got it tied up snug against the frame here so it'll clear between the battery and the frame. And of course all you got to do is hook up this ground wire to the ground that's down there on the rear fender. It's easily to see. And then just figure out a neat place to put this in your under seat area. That, you know, anywhere you can find it where there's room to put it. Maybe tie it all, you know, and make it neat. Try to give you an idea of what I did. Basically, the idea is to keep it away from the heat, and you want to keep this stuff in here low, because when the tank comes down, it's going to come into this area a little bit when you put your tank on. So you don't want to get up high with the wiring in here and keep it down low, snug, but keep it up off the rockers. Because I actually had a Cobra wire, a Cobra tack wire that come on the bike, had fallen down in here on the rockers and melted. It was a mess because it wasn't tied up properly. Anyhow, there it is.